Welcome to this Luke 7028 in which I take you over one of the new Haunted Shores content features of Sea of Thieves, this being Ghost Fleets. Within the last update, we had several amazing features to the game, considering that it's been hard times for the game studio and for everyone else in general. Now, one of the main things Haunted Shores added was a new world event. This has been long due because, in my opinion, the world events we already have, the Kraken, Skeleton Fleet, and of course the Fort, are getting a little boring now, and I like to have some fresh ones. Now, the Flame Heart world event is very difficult, however it is still possible to complete as a solo player, but you have to be very careful about it. If you would prefer not to have to grind at it for hours, then you can do Order of Souls voyages, which are effectively the same thing, just scaled down. You get less loot, but you have to fight less for it, so it's a fair trade-off. Now, what you can see here. The ghost ships are all galleons. There are no brigantines and no sloops. I would really like them to add these, however, given that the galleons already take only 3 hits to kill / sink or whatever they do when they die, it would be a little ridiculous to have a sloop that only took 1 hit to sink, for example. And to compensate for the fact that they are very easy to sink, these ships will spawn in very large numbers, forming quite an intimidating fleet, and all of these have 4 cannons on each side as per standard galleon rules, and these are manned by ghosts who you cannot kill, at least I assume they're manned by someone, or maybe they just fire automatically. I don't know what the story actually is. This means that when you get large clumps of them, as you will in the boss wave, they can be very dangerous to your ship. Now, the next part of this gameplay. I am here angling my sails in order to get closer to them. The ghost ships have a real habit of running away. If you want to catch them, you'll need to catch them off guard. You cannot simply sail up next to them because they tend to go very fast. You cannot sail behind them, as they will drop mines that can almost sink a galleon, as I showed with my crew the other day. And of course, if you sail in front of them, they have the risk of ramming you, which does absolutely nothing to them and is a very bad idea. Now, ghosts tend to have very crappy aim. However, they will hit you at long range. This means that it is in your interest to get very close to them, in order that they cannot shoot back at you very effectively. However, if you do manage to get close, and they do manage to land a broadside hit on you, the chances of them missing are very small, so I take it as a risk-reward scenario, especially if you can't aim your cannons. Now, let's talk about loot. Each of these ghost ships drops a significant variety of loot on the captain wave. However, the regular ghost ship does not drop any loot at all. As far as I'm concerned, there is no real way of telling which ship is going to drop loot, although all the captains or clans of the Burning Blade from the world event will obviously drop loot. In the Order of Souls voyages, the only type of loot you'll get is storage crates and skulls. However, the world event is a little more rewarding. It will reward you with those glowing ashes of the damned, the Merchant Alliance level up. For the gold hoarders, you will get a chest of the damned, and from the Order of Souls, you will obviously get the skulls of the damned, plus that Captain Skull of the damned, commendations and sails. This is what I'm working towards, but it is an awful grind, and this is why this isn't a PvP video as I intended it to be. Now, you will notice that the ghost ships spawn in very specific ways. Normally always, the captain ships will spawn amidst a clump of escort ships. If possible, you want to kill these escort ships because occasionally they can drop good loot. However, if you're tailing them as I'm doing now, you need to be extremely careful for mines. These mines drop in groups of 3, and as you know, 3 regular kegs is enough to sink your ship in about 10 seconds, I believe. Do not hit them, or you'll be screwed. Now, if you are intending to sail behind them, which I don't recommend at all, then the best way of doing so is to simply sail behind and next to them, and then turn sharply to one side so you can land hits on the back of them. As you know, 3 hits should be enough to sink a ghost ship, but you may need 20 for the actual bosses, and probably about 25 for the Burning Blade. Uninvited Guests. Flameheart's loot is very lucrative. especially if you do the Burning Blade World event. If you're lazy and can't be bothered, you may try to steal it instead. The sloop here was not on the invitation list. Therefore, I decided to get aboard and teach the slooper a lesson. As it turned out, he was solo and did not manage to see me as I boarded his ship. However, I was unable to get the Megalodon to attack his ship. If this had been in the middle of the Ghost Fleet, which we had just finished at that time, then we would have been able to let the Ghost ships do the dirty work for us. This is probably the best way of taking out a ship in the Ghost Fleet fight. Simply drop their anchor one layer near the Ghost ships and let the Ghost ships do the work for you. However, players can, if they buck it fast enough, bring a ship back from the depth of hell, so it is very, very important that you take care of the player before you take care of the ship. This is a lesson I have learnt the hard way, and I want you to learn it the easier way. Always shoot the top deck to wipe out the enemy players. Always plow over holes you've previously shot at, and if your enemy is blunder plus swording, it can be very frustrating. Make sure you stand a good distance away from them before you begin to attack them with your sniper. Finish them off with your sword lunges, and they will not stand a single chance. As you can see here, the guy eventually gave up and decided to scuttle, giving us his loot and letting us take us on to the next chapter, staying afloat. Your ship can be set on fire in any number of ways, I'm sure you already know this. In this case, another person who was trying to steal the fort from me while I was playing solo and managed to set my ship on fire somehow. I had decided that I had put enough holes into his ship as it was, and he was frantically bailing out, which it turned out he was. Therefore, I was able to leisurely put the fires out. You notice that there is a barrel for this. However, if there is not, it is good to leave a hole in your ship at some times that is very small to give you a constant source of water to put out your fires. This will mean you will not have to have someone constantly sitting on the pump. This tactic works on any particular type of ship, but it's particularly effective on the brigantine when you can quickly monitor the water levels. Galleons fill up too quickly and sloops don't have enough manpower. As always, brigantines are the best type of ship for pretty much everything, barring the small utility stuff which the sloop is best for, and the big crew adventures. Obviously, you'll want a galleon for this. Now, as you can see, I'm ploughing the top deck to take out the enemy planes. At this point, I decided I would rather board to stop him from repairing, and I was rewarded with the fact that he was already on 80% health. And he was dead. I hope to you this video was very useful, as it was indeed to me watching the guides of other YouTubers and streamers. Thank you. I will see you in the next video, and until then, stay safe, goodbye.